Okoth, you reached out to us and you said, I have an issue that I want you to give me the mic to raise to the public as a public debate. And that issue is with regards to our public expenditure, and especially what we do to enumerate our elected officials. And he said that we should do something about that, right?
Sure.
Shika mic.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, wherever you are joining us from, and I'm so happy to be here today. I don't know that to say that I'm in the public court of morality or where, but it is very important that we have this conversation here today, Latif, and your colleagues. Because for me, as a concerned citizen, I'm looking at the direction that this country is taking, and sometimes I wonder, are we really building a nation, or are we building a nation for the chosen few? So today I'm here because I'm very interested on how the people that we put in offices, how they handle us, and actually even how we are treating them ourselves. And I'm going to be very quick, especially on the matters. Every time when you talk about politicians, I think the person that comes to almost every person's mind is the member of parliament, who currently the constitution recognizes as the member of National Assembly, MP. I think that's the politician that most of us relate with. And just looking at it, for example, the amount of salary that these people, before we come to the big idea of the day, I was looking at the amount of money that these people are paid, whether it is annually or monthly. Looking at it, it comes to about 30 times the annual income of an average Kenyan. If you look at it in terms of comparing to the other public servants, 2.4 times the number, 2.4 times the amount that is paid to a middle-level doctor, 8.5 times the amount that is paid to a nurse, 18 times more than a primary school teacher, 13 times more than a secondary school teacher, 8.5 times mid-level police officers, and what is even shocking, 10 times more than a mid-level administration officer. So then what is my big idea today? So my big idea today is that looking at the amount of money that these people are paid versus the work that they do and the lack of accountability and the kind of lifestyle that they show us on social media, because nowadays we see our MPs showing us the floating the cars and everything. And recently we just had one of the member of parliament saying that, naweza waambia mpange laini nyinyi wote nitawapatia 2,000 shillings each. And you wonder who gives them the audacity to speak the way they are speaking. So what I'm then proposing that we scrap the salaries for these members of parliament totally, and then probably now replace it with a system where we can reimburse them based on expenses that they're using, because even apart from the salaries, we still, these people are still given a lot of allowances. For example, apart from paying their salaries, we still fuel their cars, we pay for their security, we pay for their insurance, health insurance. And the worst thing about paying for the health insurance, they do not even use it in our own public hospitals that they purport to be leading. Most of them don't even take their children to the public schools that the common citizens take their children to. So why is this very important at this defining moment here? So number one, looking at the excessive remuneration relative to the national income. If you look at, for example, given the average annual income for many Kenyans, which is about 200,000 per year, because we know we have different statistics about this, MPs earn roughly 33 to 35 times more than the average citizen. This enormous gap creates a perception of disconnect and elitism. Because if you look at it, this is actually now what make them think that they belong to another world which we are not part of. Then the high cost of the public wage bill, honestly, we cannot afford to sustain these people as per the way things are happening. We do not review the fact that 700,000 people are paid that amount of money. It is okay, but we also need to look at what is our GDP compared to the amount of the money that we are paying these people. Then also what is the GDP per capita compared to the amount of money that we are paying these people. So coming back to the issue of the benefits, the amount of benefits, again, that these people are getting, the combined cost of these salaries, benefits, and allowances place a significant burden on national wage bill, actually now diverting the resources from critical sectors such as health. We're talking about education, infrastructure. Look at another, from another angle, reinforcing a public service ethos and accountability. I think for me at this point, by eliminating these fixed lucrative salaries, public office would be redefined as a service to the nation, rather than a lucrative job where you get in to earn money. Most of the MPs come into office. By the time they're leaving the office, honestly, you can't even understand the amount of money. Because if you're a public servant anyway, you know very well, if you're working and earning around 700,000, we know what you can afford by the end of the month. We know what you can afford by the end of the year. How is it that MPs still have the power, especially like the purchasing power and even the power to talk to us the way they do. Responding to public outcry and youth activism that we saw last year, it is quite strange that even after what we saw last year and Kenyans went to the street, especially the young Kenyans, went to the street, and people, among the things that we are complaining about, that the lavish lifestyle enabled by this remuneration, luxurious cars, sometimes even access to private helicopters. They take selfies in these helicopters, in the private planes when they're traveling. Currently, we are informed of the 100 of them heading to Addis Ababa. Kenya is only having one vote. You sometimes wonder whose taxes are they traveling on. Social media and recent protests, especially among Kenyan youth, have underscored the demand for reform. And I think it is now. Eliminating these salaries would then directly address a major grievance of the electorate. But even before I head now to how then are we going to implement this, I also want us to look at it from this angle. Recently, we saw USAID pulled out, which is quite unfortunate, yes? USAID pulled out, and it's quite unfortunate. It is strange that one of the top 10, we are among the top 10 largest economies in Africa, but we are still the 5th largest beneficiary of USAID. As a country right now, is it important maybe for us to make a very bold move and reduce on the expenses? So if you look at some countries, for example, like New Zealand, 2020, MPs were forced to take a 20% pay cut. India, 2020, 30% pay cut. UK, 2009. Malaysia, 2022. Greece, the year 2010. And things are actually working because politicians need to be told the truth that this is what is happening. Many times we compare ourselves to countries like Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, because we say these are our siblings. Their members of parliament earn a lot of course, just close to what our people are earning. But if you look at it in terms of the per capita income, it makes a lot of sense. Why is it that for us it is becoming very difficult? So on the issues of how we are going to implement this, I know one of the ways to pass a new law, it must go through the parliament, which is so difficult, for example, to tell a member of parliament to introduce a bill that works against them. But I believe that through popular initiatives, we can do this because we've seen it happen in other countries.
Through popular initiative.
Popular initiative, yes.
Okay. All right. First of all, off the bat, love the idea. The idea.
Of course, Mariam had to love that idea.
Big time.
If there was anyone who was ever going to love that idea.
I'm like, take it all. When we say public service, it really should be service, right? And then we reimburse them for their expenses, because if you really want to do this job, you should be willing to do it at no cost. And I'm going to stick with you on that one. But I do have questions. Actually, Okoth and I apparently go way back, right?
Really?
It's a debate thing. There's like a debater in him, right? You were at the Great Debaters.
Yes, I'm a product of Great Debaters contest.
It's showing.
The first lot, actually.
The very first one.